Hi, my name is Dylan Stewart, and I'm a senior machine learning engineer at Makepath. Today I'm going to walk you through our demo for predicting land cover change in Austin, Texas. This is a companion video to our 4-part machine learning for change detection series. Within this demo, we initialize a DAS CUDA cluster to scale predictions on a GPU, load and preprocess 2 rasters that cover the greater Austin area, one from May 2017, the other from May 2022, apply a pre-trained PyTorch change detection model to predict land cover changes. And lastly, we apply a fast AI model we trained on Eurosat to describe those changed areas. First, we're going to load packages and initialize a DAS CUDA cluster. This DAS CUDA cluster allows us to parallelize our predictions and speed up our code significantly. So we can take a look at the DAS dashboard, and we'll look at this in more detail later when we're actually running predictions. Next, we're going to load our pre-trained change detection model. So we get the arguments, so we can point our code to the model that we're interested in. And this is a change detection model. We're going to load the checkpoint from our last training session, set that model in evaluation mode because we don't want to backpropagate any errors, and place that model on our client. Now we want to load and pre-process the planet data. So the following cell loads 2 rasters, one from May 2017 and the other from May 2022. Each raster is of 3-meter resolution, and it covers over 6,750 square miles of area. And this study area covers the greater Austin area and contains portions of Travis, Hayes, Bastrop, Williamson, Burnett, Caldwell, Lee, and Fayette counties. Our combined data set holds a chunked version of our large data set, so that each chunk can be handed off to a DAS CUDA worker. This enables us to perform predictions in parallel across multiple threads of our GPU. We remove the near-infrared band and normalize each raster by subtracting the mean and dividing by the standard deviation of each band. This normalization is performed so that we are able to map the data to a standard range where the pre-trained model is able to better relate input samples across time. Now that we have normalized data, we can pass this data into our pre-trained model. For each chunk of the data, we're going to split that data into small chips and pass it to the GPU. We utilize 2 functions. The first function, predict chips, handles I/O with PyTorch. Given an input that is the correct size needed for the model, in our case 256 by 256, we forward propagate that chip through the model, load it on the GPU, and return the predicted change mask for that chip. The second function, copy and predict chunked, is a dask function that handles I/O with dask to and from PyTorch on the GPU. It takes a large, around 8,000 by 8,000 tile, splits it into chips that are able to be predicted by the pre-trained model, sends it to the GPU, and stores out the large predicted area. Outside of these 2 functions, we have a wrapper that calls map blocks on each large tile of our combined data array, and we save those predictions inside of a data array. Our predictions array is the same spatial size as our combined input data, but with a single channel because it is a binary mask and not an RGB image. Now we can grab a slice of our large data set, predict and visualize and describe some of those changes. Since our data set is significantly large, around 140 kilometers by 120 kilometers, and around 80 gigs, this takes several minutes to process with a single GPU. So we can check out a subset of the data before we try to run the entire scene. The following cell grabs around 12 kilometers by 12 kilometers of the large data set so we can visualize change detection in a quick demo. Now that we have a small slice of the data, we can pass this data to the GPU for prediction. So when we run DAS compute, we can now look at the task graph and watch the progress when executing this cell. Large blocks of our massive array are being offloaded to each of the GPU workers, and each worker is able to quickly predict each of the small chips that make up the larger blocks. Now that our compute is finished, we can look at a visualization of our input data from 2017, our change detection map, and our input data from 2022. So we're building a panel visualization. Now we can see a small subset of our Austin May 17 data, a mask with the changes that have occurred, and the data from 2022. We can do some visual spot checking. So given our predicted change mask of our sample area, let's visualize some of those areas. We see on the left in the first column a patch of data from 2017, in the middle the predicted change mask, and on the right a patch from 2022 that's aligned to the 2017 data. So we can see in each case here that this predicted mask signals where large changes have occurred across time. And most of these changes are from new neighborhoods, industrial changes, and highways, so infrastructure changes. And we can classify those changes. So we're going to leverage a classifier that we trained on the Eurostat dataset to categorize the changed areas before and after the change occurred. We're going to load the classifier that we trained, which is a ResNet 50 model, perform some bookkeeping of where the changed regions are, and pass those into our classifier. We see that some of the classes used within the Eurostat data correlate well within our study area. In the first case, we have a permanent crop, mostly in this region, that becomes sort of an industrial complex. In the second case, we have a highway where some development has occurred in the last 5 years, and now the confidence decreases because it's a mixed area with multiple classes. In the third case, we can see an area with mostly crops has started being cleared out, and some development is occurring, so the model predicts this is an industrial region. The fourth and fifth cases, these regions are mostly industrial, and after a small set of buildings are added, the confidence drops because some new residential buildings have been built. Thank you for viewing our demo on land cover classification, detection, and description for Austin. Check out our blog at makepath.com/blog. Follow us on Twitter at MakepathGIS. Email us at contact@makepath.com. Thank you.